Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2, what can we say? If you're going to be making a statement about, I'm here to win mid-league, then there is no stronger way to do it than the way that No Fear Wolves pulled off this second game of our block of 3 here, commanding victory in 24 minutes.
That was quite the game. That was the 20-minute game that we were hoping for game 1, except they just pulled it off so strongly in game 2. They've made the Volibear jungle work. The Volibear jungle was fantastic. I mean, Peekaboo played it very well. He invaded, I think it was level 2, level 3, after he just 2-camped and just snuck away that red buff from Diana, and that just put her off. I put her off early game very hard.
I mean, not only did he steal away the red buff from the Diana, but he also gets the behind gank on to the mid lane there. There's not much that Calvale is able to do, and as he just gets shut, Crimvale is able to do, my apologies, as he just gets stunned, he tries to flash over the Volibear from there, has nowhere to go with the red buff, keeping him slowed, and Silas can follow up, and then unfortunately, even more so for Crimvale, he teleports back into the lane and gets killed a second time, and once that happens, it's kind of just one of those situations where you say, you know what, Oriana's behind, we leave this lane alone, and that was not allowed by Raichu.
Yeah, we cannot talk about game 2 without talking about Raichu's dominant performance on Silas in this game. That was an early solo kill into just solo kill. Oh, you brought your jungler, double kill. It's like, holy moly, he just destroyed this mid lane.
He really just took over the game and was like, yeah, I got a couple kills. You know what that means? Time to murder everyone. So we've seen it before. Silas, especially when he's able to get ahead early and has the likes of the Malphite ultimate, has the Diana ultimate as well in order to steal away these massive AoE team fight ultimates. What are you supposed to do? You fell behind early, and the ultimates that you thought were going to be able to catch up for you in the mid-game team fights are no longer exclusively held to your team, with Silas, who's so far ahead, just using the Unstoppable Force, using the Moonfall. It made it so difficult for Degenerates to even find a way back into this game. And looking towards game 3, I want to try and figure out what is there that we can do here, because they're not going to be able to win the series, but they might be able to pick up a game here, and that will count towards some points when we're looking towards playoff positions further down the line.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that Degenerates Reformed is able to take this game 3 so that they can't say that they got 0-3'd on the first day, because that's a rough start to a new league. I mean, that last game though, they did almost win the last Baron fight. That last Baron fight, I think, could have almost turned the entire game, because they did manage to land their 3 wombo combo ultimates there. But I mean, that was the only point in the entire game. And at that point, they weren't in the game anymore anyway.
Felt like there was a couple of moments where there was potential. There was almost that big play coming in from the Degenerates Reformed comp. We saw around the Dragon as well. Diana went in. They had a couple of picks, but there just wasn't the follow-up they needed right when the Moonfall came out. And it felt so unfortunate, because we saw the potential. We saw what was the play that was trying to be made there, coming out from Hot S'mores, but just unfortunately didn't line up. You didn't have Adderall, you didn't have Crimvale available to follow up with the Shockwave or Unstoppable Force of their own. And with that, fell a little bit flat. The right ideas are there for Degenerates Reformed. It's just not executing when it needs to be executed.
Definitely did like their team comp last game with the 3-man wombo combo idea. I think that's a very easily executable, team comp. But that game just fell out from under them in the early game with each individual picks in the early game and through the jungle, and bot lane was an adventure.
Bot lane was definitely an adventure, to be said. It felt really unfortunate for Fox Zero there. He was trying his best, trying to get as much DPS out as possible, but just time and time again, if it wasn't, Nautilus going for hooks, if it wasn't getting jumped on by the Volibear or by the Gnar, it was Silas coming in with an ultimate that belonged to Fox Zero's own team, and it just felt really difficult here. As we are going to be hopping into game 3 and into the third and final draft, we do have the bans going by quite quickly here. No Fear Wolves banning out the Kazakhs. Meanwhile, Degenerates Reform once again going back to that Kindred ban.
Yes, we do see another side swap. So we are having No Fear Wolves back on the blue side that they were first game with the Degenerates reformed on the red side once again. So we are potentially able to see one of those specs picks save until R5 like we saw in the first game as well.
I'm hoping to see some of these, some more interesting picks coming out this game. It's been quite exciting champ pulls throughout the first couple of games in this series. We've seen Kindred, Volibear, Diana in the jungle so far. We're still not going to be able to see the Morgana. We're not going to be seeing the Kindred again, but I would like to see some more spicy stuff coming out here. Triple jungle bans potentially from Degenerates reformed as the Rumble is being hovered once more here. Seraphine, most importantly, has not been banned out yet, which means it is potential for No Fear Wolves to pick that one up. I think that the Enchanter is extremely oppressive, and as you've mentioned before, can be flex pick if No Fear Wolves wants to try and pick that one up for themselves. But no, it's going to be the Tristana.
We are going to see the Tristana be one, as we saw in game 1 as well. But I am interested to see if they are going to take the Seraphine for themselves on the red side, or just save it into the second round of bans and just ban it out there instead. I mean, as for the jungle picks, as you were saying, we do have quite the variety. I am very glad that we are past the Udyr versus Hecarim Ever game stage. And that is a Seraphine. That is a Nautilus.
As a Hecarim player, it makes me sad to see him get sent to the glue factory, but I was also abusing him for LP, so understandable why he got nerfed so hard. Seraphine has been finally picked up. I hate the pick order though. Nautilus being locked in here makes it so that Seraphine is absolutely going in towards the mid lane. The whole point of picking it early is allowing for yourselves to flex that pick either into the mid or into the support role after seeing what your opponent picks here. If you'd even pick Nautilus up on R3 on the third pick of the first rotation here, that would have been fine, but this already puts No Fear Wolves in a position where they say, you know what, Nautilus is going to be going support, Seraphine will be going mid. That now opens up for Braum to be picked. Great counter pick into the Nautilus. And if this Tristana wants to be flexed into the mid lane, we can see Tristana absolutely dumpster a Seraphine, constantly jumping onto this Enchanter with no way of peeling herself.
I'm not actually so sure about that. So Tristana statistically wins every single laning phase bot lane other than against a Seraphine ADC. Because she's so safe, and in theory, you should never be able to engage on her. But in theory, it's different to in-game. I agree. If she is able to get onto her, Seraphine does not get to play the game. But I
actually forgot about Seraphine AD carry for a second there.
Yes. That is another triple flex that she just is able to go into. But I mean, they showed the vein, so she is going mid.
Yeah. I mean, I even forget about the AD carry flex here from Seraphine. There's just too many champions that could be flexed in too many roles right now, but Vayne being locked in, again, is just pigeonholing yourself to having the Seraphine into the middle lane. They're going to be picking up their jungler in the fourth rotation. I'm surprised it's not banned out here, but Jarvan is quite the interesting jungler, something we haven't seen quite yet from any team. Hasn't really been too prevalent in pro play, so I'm going to be super excited to keep an eye on this pick, just because I personally think Jarvan is an extremely powerful early game ganking jungler and can try and make some waves for his team.
Definitely. I think Jarvan into Udyr, I think he should definitely be able to like outclear him early on. He's got the classic 3 camp into gank, and if he's able to gank for the Nautilus Vayne bot lane, that is a serious amount of setup, and he can get that Vayne early, super early, or head on. So it's just like, once you get a Vayne of a few kills early on, she's going to be huge.
And it's important to note that we do not have the same level of scaling on No Fear Wolves that we've seen in the past couple of games in this game. Something to note, though, apparently we're not the only fans of watching LS in his tier list, because that is a Zed Akali that has been locked in from No Fear Wolves, and Zed has been placed in A and S tier for mid and top lane. And with Udyr being played, we know it's not a jungle Zed, so where do you think these picks are going?
I'm expecting it to be a Zed mid Akali top. The only thing that I'm worried about is the lack of CC between these two assassins. It's more on the lines of like, we want to get ourselves ahead and we want to 1v9 this game on our own, which is fine. But I mean, when you're in a competitive environment like this and your team is lacking CC in almost every single character, it's like, that's going to be very hard to set up for a Tristana.
I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the double assassin pick here, especially considering that Yorick finally made its way through and has now been picked up from Degenerates Reformed. I think it's great into Seraphine. I'm curious to see which assassin they choose to play into the Seraphine mid. However, this makes Vayne's job in particular a lot more difficult. Akali and Zed are both going to be able to stick onto this AD carry, and for the likes of Zero Fox, that is only going to mean that he is going to, or Fox Zero, he's only going to struggle to keep himself alive the longer this game goes on, because Tristana will eventually be able to outrange him. He's going to have to constantly fear the Akali and Zed hyper focusing onto this hyper late game carry, and if he's not able to keep himself alive or isn't able to dodge away from the death mark, from the Akali shuriken, and from Tristana, who's looking to rocket jump explosive charge, we could see so many team fights go south so quickly for Degenerates Reformed.
I agree. I think they picked the double assassins to specifically counter the Vayne Seraphine combo. I mean, I know that they're not in the same lane together, but in team fights, right, if you're able to pick one out, you're usually able to pick both of them out. And those are going to be your main damage dealers, despite it being a Seraphine, yes. But I mean, she's probably going to be building AP here, as she is their really only AP damage. So if they're able to pick out one of these, either of these very squishy champions, that's going to be a huge lack of damage from this team comp.
And it's interesting that you bring up the lack of damage from Degenerates Reformed. Vayne being the only real range form of damage, on top of the fact that Seraphine, if she doesn't build AP, is going to be more of that supported build, does mean that once this Vayne gets picked off, like you said, is going to be extremely difficult for Degenerates Reformed to continue to take these fights, which is telling me that they're going to want to try and play around this Yorick a little bit more heavily. I'll play around this top lane in particular, because if you can get Yorick to start rolling ahead early, who on the side of No Fear Wolves is going to be able to deal with a tanky bruiser in the top lane? It's not going to be Akali, it's not going to be Zed. These assassins need to be finding squishy members, and it really leaves a sore spot for No Fear Wolves that they're not able to deal with a 1-4 composition, because Nautilus, Vayne, Seraphine, they do a really great job of fighting disengage fights, where if Akali and Zed don't blow up the Vayne, don't blow up the Seraphine, they can turn it around and just absolutely shred anybody that overcommitted to a fight.
I mean, we've seen Grimvale basically play 3 control mages this tournament series. Seraphine, you could really argue, is a control mage when she's playing in the mid lane with an AP build, so hopefully we're going to be seeing a more comfort pick for him this game on the Seraphine, as she is probably the safest champion that he's picked so far, and he's not going to go 0-10 on this champion. I don't think that's possible.
I hope not, but we've also seen a lot of aggressive champions coming out from Raichu here. We saw the Sylas in the last game, and, you know, it popped off pretty hard if he's able to get himself an early lead, depending on whether or not he's going Zed or the Akali. As we can see, it looks like Raichu is hovering the Zed so far, and that means that Akali is going into the hands of Skiz, but they have potential to swap here. They do have a little bit of time before these champions get locked in as the final say, and maybe they're just trying to bait out the MR versus the armor runes with these lock-ins. I'm not entirely sure what the rulebook says on that, but in professional play, you got 20 up until 20 seconds to switch, so it'll be interesting to see if they stick to the Zed Akali in top mid, or if they switch it around.
I mean, even in-game, if they do show it in Champion Select as being one way, in-game, they could just walk to the other lane, so it doesn't even matter, really, until you really see them in the lane as where they are.
Well, game 3 here. No Fear Wolves are up 2-0 in this block of 3. Cam, I throw it to you one last time. Who do you think is going to walk away with the victory in this final game of the series?
Pick out this last game so that they are ending on a 2-1, which is a lot more graceful than a 3-0, but Double Assassins solo queue comp. It's a solo queue comp for a reason. It is easy to execute. I mean, you get either one of these assassins sped, they're going to destroy this Vayne Seraphine. So it's gonna come down to those 3 champions there.
I hate to be the doomsayer. I do think No Fear Wolves are going to pull out this final win here. We've just seen them play these lanes so expertly, and with hyper aggressive early game picks like the Akali and Zed, I think they're only going to continue to run through it. But that's going to be it for us here as we get set up for the final game, brought to you by Mac Dewey and Gungeon. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a banger of a series here, and some interesting champion picks are going to be exciting to watch, so do not hit that browser. We'll be back in a couple of minutes here with the final game here between No Fear Wolves and Degenerates Reformed.
Hello, Summoners. Welcome back onto the Rift for game number 3 of this set of 3. No Fear Wolves have been dominating and have come right out of the gate, full fire, cylinders at the ready, foot down on the gas pedal. They've been popping off. Let's see if the exponential rate to their path to victory will continue to increase, or our Degenerates Reformed going to be able to make things work with this composition. Adderall on one of his favorite in the Yorick pick in the top lane. Gunjin, how are you feeling about how these spicy compositions rounded out for game number 3?
See, I'm excited for Mr. Yorick. We're dumping Mr. Olaf. He's old news. He's a spring meme.
Nerfed.
Summer meme is Mr. Yorick. I love to see Yorick because I love the way he kind of augments League of Legends. Like when Yorick is in a game, it's about Yorick. And obviously no one likes games to just kind of turn into one person's carnival, but that's what Yorick does. He turns everything into kind of a circus, kind of a carnival, and if you give him even a little bit of space, he can really take over. And so I'm excited to see Adderall because he's very proficient. Obviously has the 500,000 mastery points. He has a lot of mastery on this champion, and with the buffs, obviously a lot of Yorick mains have kind of risen out of the dirt and kind of taken their rightful form in the top lane. So I'm excited to see it, but in terms of the overall game, I am nervous for the side of Degenerates Reformed, and this is not from any of the other games. Just let's say this is just a one-off. This is game number 1. We're not even taking into account. In terms of the comp, I get scared because a lot of these members, for the side of Degenerates Reformed, like these lanes, I don't feel like they're favored for them at all. Braum Tristana is incredibly safe and can trade incredibly well into Vayne Nautilus. Like, there's nothing that Vayne Nautilus do that is good enough that can really punish the Braum Tristana. It's hard to hit through the Braum. The Zed Seraphine lane, if anyone has played this lane, there's a reason that Crimbale took exhaust. Like, there's a reason this is happening. Oh my god. Oh no.
Flute Loop's going to be able to walk away. The heal expended, and that is what we come to expect from the reigning second-team All-Pro ADC and his new support, taking advantage of the level 2 initiative first. They got the minions quick with the Tristana range advantage, and beautiful play to perfection right there.
It's a great play, and like the big reason that I said oh no is because for the side of this Jarvan pick, again, Jarvan we haven't seen a lot in the meta. Right now there's only one pro player that's playing Jarvan. It's Dardoch, and he's building full support Jarvan. And when I say full support, I mean literally lock it into redemption into gargoyles. That's what he's doing in terms of Jarvan picks. So you can see kind of the state of where Jarvan's at. Right now, Jarvan's kind of being relegated into this like level 2, let's cheese ganks and let's force it down someone's throat. And the only lane he can really do that in is in bot lane, because he has the setup with the Nautilus, with the Vayne, because mid lane, I mean, Cute Raichu probably doesn't get caught by Seraphine E slow. Top lane, Akali is way too hyper mobile for that. So the only setup is bot lane, but with the bot lane already giving up pressure, you can see Udyr already has the play on him.
He's getting angry. 2 fights going on. It's going to be a 2v2 for the bot lane, though, to start us off here. Flute Loop's going to try to turn things around. Its first blood. 2 kills going over. No Fear Wolves once again taking over the game in the early stages. Fox Zero barely able to flash away from the onslaught. An early 1,000 gold lead. And once again, Gunjin, Peekaboo in the jungle, just taking over.
No.
He's going to be getting 2 scuttles once again, but look at Skiz. He's getting real low. The flash from Adderall is going to be a kill going over to the Degenerates top laner. He's feeling himself.
Yeah, Skiz just played that in way too aggressive. After he had burned the Ignite there and he had seen how much damage he was dealing and just the minion wave that was kind of piled up, he just needed to evacuate the play. But he tries to force it. They may be able to force it here, but Adderall, if he lands the E onto the Peekaboo, might be able to kill him. Oh, he ends up missing, and this should be a death.
No mana available. Bear slap to the face. Peekaboo barely going to be able to survive. Thankful triumph is a thing. He's going to be able to walk away from this one. And once again, this composition for Degenerates is going to be harder to execute, and they have to play very carefully in terms of their decision making if they want to try to make a comeback in this one, because we saw in game number 2, Gunjin, right, the early dragon fight that they maybe shouldn't have taken, just put the No Fear Wolf snowball into an insurmountable new one-shot ball that completely took over game number 2, right? So in game number 3, Right now, I'm looking for Degenerates to maybe play a little bit safer, maybe play a little bit cooler, and try to focus on making the comeback, recognizing that they're behind and play like it.
No, 100%. But I feel like their lanes, I mean, and again, I don't think that you can ever lose in draft, but the setup that they've given themselves is really hard to play on because, again, Adderall can make the play top lane, but it really doesn't matter because all of these lanes are so self-sufficient right now. Foxier and Fruit Loops have one summoner left. Epic Field has both sums. Jushbox has both sums. They can force the play at level 6. They will force the play bot lane. And so it's very self-sufficient. Cute Raichu has a massive lead and has... I mean, they get the engage off, but Brahm's going to be able to flash away in W, and he's fine. And so that's the big play they wanted to make right there. They just forced that. But here, you can see, I mean, Peekaboo's kind of... Oh?
Skiz is looking for the tower dive, but he's getting real low. Not a lot of energy.
Oh, no!
Not the perfect execution he was looking for. Adderall is going to be picking up his second kill of the game in the top lane. And with that, they see Peekaboo on the top side of the map, Gunjin, and look at Dragon.
Yeah, and they get Dragon, and I was going to say, like, that was going to be the response that the top lane was going to get shut down, and obviously just a misexecution from the side of Skiz and Peekaboo now kind of give Degenerates Reformed a little bit of leeway to try and scale into this game. It is going to be either a Infernal Soul or a Cloud Soul map, but we are going to get the Ocean Dragon at about 11 minutes in, and that can be the win condition. If you can get the Dragon Soul stacked up, if you can get it onto your members at that 20-minute mark, there is a chance for you to win the game. But the lane setups right now are in such a poor position for the side of Degenerates Reform in that mid and bot lane. But the top lane has turned, I think, at this point. Because right now, Skiz wants to get to his... once he hits that Rift Maker mark, that's the point where he can try and kill Adderall. But he's kind of slowing himself down with kind of these overforces in the top lane.
Exactly. Got to be careful. And for Adderall, if he keeps playing like this, then it is suddenly the huge threat that Icarus was talking about in the analyst desk segment of having to try to deal with the raid boss in the top lane. He's still got his maiden with him, heading right back up to face off against Skiz. It's going to be really interesting, I think, to see how the junglers are going to be able to impact things because Rift Herald's going to be spawning in just a little bit, Gunjin.
Rift Herald's going to be spawning in a little bit, and you can see Peekaboo's already in that side of the map. Kind of, at least getting some sort of vision control is going to be really important for the side of No Fear Wolves if they do want to take that early Rift Herald and maybe try to break one of these early towers for one of their assassins to kind of create them into that roam threat. But right now, the top is kind of ruled by this. Mr. Yorick rules the top lane right now. Once the Maiden pops down, once he's just generating souls left and right, there's not much you can do. And even with, I think they're going to look for it.
Peekaboo's coming in, looking for the bear slab, waiting. Here is Skiz dashing in, not going to miss that execution this time. Peekaboo, just a spectator in this one, because that's going to be a solo kill going over to Skiz.
Yeah, and there's just no room for Adderall to even try and turn and fight, and even it was a solo kill, but Peekaboo should get the most assist you can in a solo kill possible right there. Great play by Peekaboo, and that's the big problem. When your lanes are so self-sufficient in the mid and bot lane, there's only one place that Peekaboo can focus, and he's going to just completely run it down that lane. And Adderall is in a state where he's basically playing a 1v2 up there.
Right now, we see Peekaboo trying to pick up this Rift Herald. It's going to be spotted. The control wards on the bottom side of the map for the No Fear Wolves, making sure Cute Raichu's protected in this mid lane as Gunjin, he is slowly but surely picking up a huge CS lead. Oh, here comes the engage under the tower. The exhaust isn't going to be able to save Crimvale. Oh, maybe it does. The death mark isn't enough to finish him off. Cute Raichu is in the kill, but here is Peekaboo. He doesn't need the Stormbringer to dive under turrets as the Udyr now on a killing spree. And Gunjin, are we back in Season 2 of Mid League?
It feels like Peekaboo is always at the right place at the right time. The amount of times he's getting kills. Oh, Jarvan!
The Hot S'mores trying to make a big play happen, and the Cataclysm is going to come through to pick up a kill onto Cute Raichu. A little out of position, not used to those Raptors ganks coming through from junglers. as the lane swaps for Skiz, Cute Raichu, and Peekaboo are making things a little bit interesting, but I think they've done a pretty good job so far in the series of adapting to their new roles. Gunjin, at the 10-minute mark, it's almost a 3,000 gold lead. Degenerates Reformed once again finding themselves in the same position as they have throughout this series. They're a little behind in the early game.
They're a little bit behind, but again, they've relied on this dragon stacking, and this is going to be really important for them. This ocean dragon fight, I think this is something that they can take. Seraphine is getting close to where she's going to be able to get that first item, most likely either going for the Moonstone Renewer. So once she gets that first item, again, Seraphine needs very low gold to be effective, so they can try to look for that fight around the dragon. It's going to be all about setup, and it's going to be all about control. And right now, they have the double pink words. They have the control in the river. So this is something they can take. The fear is they need to make sure that they have their flank swept out, because if Skiz teleports in, and which he will because he has the teleport set up, and he gets onto that backline of Fox and Crimvale, they don't have enough items, they don't have enough peel to deal with that, and he will just blow them up completely.
Dragon spawning in about 23 seconds here. Bot lane's a little even, but some solid recall timing from Epic Fail Guy. He's got the Kraken Slayer online and ready to go. And just as he comes out of the jungle, Peekaboo surprising us all in this series. 2 fights going on. No Fear Wolves fighting in tandem, taking down the Degenerates. They pick up 2, and Dragon just seems all but theirs, Gunjin.
And you're talking about mid-jungle synergy. You don't even need to be in the same fight to get kills at the same time. Peekaboo is right there, and there was nothing Hot S'mores can do. And this is one of those situations where I kind of question the Jarvan pickup because he's just not played. There's a reason the Jarvan is kind of very low in that tier list, and bot lane as well.
Flute Loops gets taken down. Fox Zero does use the final hour, but it just comes a little too late. Peekaboo running rampant all over the rift. 4-0-1 on the Udyr. May have been nerfed a little bit, but when Peekaboo is pathing like a madman, when he is running crazy, he is popping off in this game on the Udyr pick.
And Cute Raichu breaking that mid lane outer tower at 12 minutes. Oh, they're looking for a play.
Another engage coming through. Gunjin can't even have a little bit of time to re-grasp what the heck is going on. Hot S'mores not wanting to take his foot off the gas pedal, able to pick up a kill there in the mid lane.
And it's a good kill for the side of Jarvan and Seraphine, but it really doesn't matter in terms of the state of the game, because at that point, you see that Hot S'mores is mid, so this bot lane has free pressure and free game to just break more plates in that bot lane. There's already the mid lane outer tower broken, so now Cute Raichu is unlocked. And so the biggest problem is when he's unlocked, what does that mean? It means that Foxier and Flute Loops are now diveable, and it also means that the attention that Adderall is already getting, because that's the only strong part of the map right now. Adderall is able to keep Skiz alive. Oh no.
Cute Raichu.
He lands all shurikens.
Dealing a lot of damage here, but the auto attacks are going to be forced to finish off. He goes back to the ult Shadow to get away from Hot S'mores. No ultimate available, and a solo kill going over to the Zed Gunjin. This is what you were talking about all the way back at the start of the game with how good this Zed Seraphine matchup is for the side of Zed. But look at Peekaboo once again looking for another gank. He's going to use the Turbo Chem Tank. He is going full octane action. Adderall getting hit by everything from Skiz. That's going to be another kill going over to the Akali, doing a solid job, showing us why this was the pick going into the Yorick.
Yeah, Skiz is having a field day, and again, it's not a solo thing. It is just play around bot. I can't even talk about anything. There's
more fights going on. Jushbox going to try to walk away, but they see Cute Raichu. They see the ninja in the shadows. They see the new face mid laner for the No Fear Wolves. And boy, has he been having himself a series. Only 2 kills, though, through this one. Not keeping up his record from the previous Silas game, but still doing a really solid job handling business in the mid lane.
Yeah, he's getting stuff done. He's able to already unlock himself and just put so much threat on the rest of the map, where even though they do end up getting a catch onto Jushbox, they can't overcommit because they know that he has the flash and that Cute Raichu can always try and roam down. And if you catch this Zed right now, who's sitting on the Prowler's Claw plus the double longsword and pickaxe, the amount of damage he's able to do, you can see Crimville is exhausting him, he's eating him, he's trying to do everything he can. It's just not enough. Right now, this Zed assassinates any member, and now the biggest thing I want to point out, Giz has his Riftmaker. At this point, he doesn't need help anymore. He will now just solo kill the Yorick himself. And so now the power point that they built for this comp, which was, okay, we have Yorick split push, he can kind of carry us, he can kind of augment this game. It's not.
Look at the bot lane though, Gunjin. The engage coming in. Hot S'mores looking to make a big play happen, but Epic fail, guys, dishing out the damage. The explosive charge, not going to be able to finish him off just yet. Fox Zero able to finish off the Tristana. It's now a 2v2, but the Bomb Stun, the Peekaboo Bear Slap, it's all coming together for the No Fear Wolves as they're going to be able to pick up 3 kills in the bot lane.
They pick up the 3 kills, and you can see just the desperation. It's only 15 minutes, but you can see the writing on the wall for the side of Degenerates Reform. Top lane, outer tower is the only tower left. Mid lane, outer's dead. Bot lane, outer's dead. Akali's just kind of free farming up top. Udyr is in a massive lead, and there's just nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to stop this wave that is No Fear Wolves, and they try to make a play down bot. They use every single resource, but when you have the Braum Tristana bot lane, it is super safe. There's a lot of disengage, so they have to spend so much to try to get in. And when you spend that much, there's gonna be time to respond.
Peekaboo getting caught out a little bit. That's going to be a huge unbreakable coming through from JustBox. Going to stop the Encore, but Adderall coming in with the teleport. Q Raichu looking for the execute, but he gets caught by the Condemn. Beautiful job by Fox Zero to hang on to his life. It's now 5 Reformed Degenerates, Gunjin, grouping around the Dragon, and they're going to be able to answer a little bit back in this game. But look at the solid response from No Fear Wolves. They're headed up for the Rift Herald.
They end up having to commit Adderall's TP, and they end up getting a kill, and it's good on them that they're punishing No Fear Wolves whenever they are way too over aggressive, because Peekaboo at that point, he doesn't need to be sitting in the enemy's blue jungle just trying to look for bear slaps onto Jarvan. That's just not what the play needs to be looking for. He's playing aggressive, and they did a good job on punishing it, but they're so far behind in terms of the entire game state. They lose a tower, they lose Rift Herald, and at the end of the day, they end up being on the down end of that play. They make the right play, but it just doesn't matter because of what the state of the map is. And now we're at a point where Akali is unlocked. Zed is unlocked. Zed is sitting on 2 items, and this core of Prowler's Claw plus Serpent's Fang, again, Serpent's Fang is an item that's kind of been coming up in the meta after the changes to make it so that it kind of does more effectiveness on reductions of shield. The reason that's built a lot, and I think that the Nautilus is dead, so I don't know if you want to really cast that. But the reason that Serpent Fang is really built a lot is because it's super cheap and it offers 18 lethality. So at this point, Cute Raichu is basically dealing true damage to Yorick, to Seraphine, and to Vayne. Any of these members cannot face him in the side lane, and there's no one else they can send. So right now, there's a free lane that Yorick Zed basically gets to sit in. The bot lane is super far ahead, and they have to keep forcing plays like this.
Cute Raichu going to be using the Prowler's Claw to engage into the fight, and Hot S'mores is just getting deleted. Epic fail, guy. He got his breakfast of Flute Loops a little bit earlier, get some Hot S'mores added to the mix. Look at Skiz now, looking for an engage using the ulti there. Zoning ulti there, kids.
Oh, no.
No worries about it. Peekaboo going to be facing off against Adderall in the bot lane. A little tough to take on the Yorick when he's got his maiden. Adderall, though, knows when he's beat, and he's going to back off. Meanwhile, the No Fear Wolves just playing around in the top lane, limit testing, it seems like, at this point.
Yeah, and they're sitting at about a 10k gold lead at 19 minutes. Game number 2 was dominant just due to kind of the outplays that Cute Raichu was throwing out. But this game feels even more debilitating for the side of Degenerates Reform, because it feels like from draft, a lot of their lanes were kind of set up to fail. There wasn't enough kind of pressure on the map, and the only pressure point that they had, when you only have one pressure point, the enemy team can see that. They can see that Yorick is your win condition, and they can just focus every single resource, and he was just completely shut down.
The Condemn off of the Cataclysm is going to connect, but Peekaboo, boy, can the deer run fast. Flute Loop's able to connect with the Dredge line in some very important shutdown gold, Gunjin, going over to Fox Zero's Vayne.
It's a great kill to pick up for the side of Fox Zero, and again, No Fear Wolves is learning to be aggressive. Last season, they were a team that was kind of that passive team waiting for 30 minutes to try to make something happen, wait for Epic Fail Guy to get to his items. And then I remember they told me in their interviews, basically the late game shot calling for No Fear Wolves last season was, hey, Epic, are you strong enough to 1v5? And he would say, I think so. And then they would fight. Basically, that's what it was. And so they're kind of, you can see kind of the growing pains that they kind of learn to be that more aggressive team. Look for a little bit more plays around the mid game and try to get these games where they do end in a dominant fashion. And so there are growing pains, and you see Peekaboo getting caught out and he's playing a little bit too aggressive. But it is a good sign for the side of No Fear Wolves, and it is a good shutdown for Fox Zero. He does end up picking up the items, but is it just too late at this point?
We see Cute Raichu using the Death Mark onto Flute Loops, just maybe trying to use that Zed ult on cooldown. The Encore is going to connect. Peekaboo's under the turret right now. Hot S'mores not connecting with the EQ combo. 5 Wolves are hunting around this mid lane. Skiz jumping into the back line. Now under the inhibitor turret, they no breaks. Shutdown goes over to Crimville. Skiz able to finish off the Seraphine. Now it's time for Fox Zero to shine. It's the final hour potentially for the Wolves. Fox Zero dueling. Epic Fail Guy. We see Juicebox getting real low. Cute Raichu coming in. Peekaboo able to finish off the ADC as Fox Zero takes down Epic Fail Guy. Flute Loops now Dredge lining away. Peekaboo not a lot of health. He's still wanting to push up. Flash from Cute Raichu. Flash in the mastery. No energy. CC chain comes through, and the Degenerates win that fight. I believe it's a 4-for-2 overall.
They end up winning the fight, and not Epic. I keep referring to No Fear Wolves as Epic Fail Guy, and I know they're going to make fun of me after the fact. No Fear Wolves is just playing way too aggressive. Right now, they have 2 solo laners that cannot be matched. Nobody can deal with the Kali in the side lane. No one can deal with the Zed in the side lane, but they just want to style. They want to play aggressive. They want to BM, and it's costing them. Fox Zero is picking up good kills. He's playing these team fights incredibly well. And so there is a chance that maybe the Vayne win condition happens. Maybe the Vayne Seraphine, maybe the Nautilus can be strong enough of a front line to peel this Vayne in these fights. But it still looks very grim, and Nakali's in the back line.
Fight coming through. Gunjin. Skiz is taking down Fox Zero. Cute Raichu there to help the assassins find their mark. Now Crimville gets absolutely deleted, and it's a quick fight coming through. The No Fear Wolves know how to press the engage button, and they pop off once again around the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and they went out of their base to try and contest this dragon, and they might have been feeling good after that team fight. And it's one of those things where you're thinking, yes, guys, we can get the Dragon Soul stacking, we can get a Cloud Dragon, but look at the state of the game and look at your team. Why do you care about Cloud Dragon? What? Like, again, it's great to get Dragon stacking, it's great to get to that soul point, but for the side of Degenerates Reform, all they should be thinking about is how can we make it to the next 5 minutes? Because every 5 minutes they make it to, the gold that they're giving to Vayne is more effective than they go to give to Tristana, because she's a lot better of a hyper skill, and she's a lot better at dealing with some of these front lines that are just diving her back to back to back. So for the side of Degenerates Reform, this play there should have been, okay, guys, let's just give them the Cloud Dragon. We don't have full control. Let's give them the Cloud Dragon. Obviously, if you can get it for free, you get it for free. But at that point, they're face checking into blind wards, and Skiz had a perfect flank, and he caught them. And so for the side of Degenerates Reform, things that they need to take away from the series is they need to be cognizant of what the state of the game is, not what the state of the last team fight was. Because that can be changed because one person ran into an inhibitor tower, you know? So you need to be able to be cognizant of where you are as a team, what your win conditions are, and what timeline you need, because they were on a good timeline. I mean, Cloud Soul wasn't going to happen until another, 34 minutes? 34, 35 minutes? That's 12 minutes for you to scale. So as long as they don't get Baron, you're fine. You're fine to hold. And you're fine to try and scale up. But they end up losing the fight. They end up losing the Cloud Dragon. They end up losing the Baron. And now it's at a point where No Fear Wolves have absolutely no fear to engage.
Cute Raichu avoiding the initial engage. Epic Fail Guy just find another huge Unbreakable to stop the Encore. Cute Raichu does get taken down. Fox Zero, is it his time to shine? No, Skiz on a killing spree. The Kali tearing through. Now looking at the back line, it's a double kill as Skiz is feeling good about the top lane. Now taking over. Can he make it 3? Yes! It's a triple kill going over to the stud in the top lane. Peekaboo, not one to be contained by Panda Walls. He's breaking through and breaking open the base. Epic Fail Guy with the explosive charges, and No Fear Wolves starting off season 3 with a 3-0 Adderall, the last to get taken down, potentially looking for the fountain for defense. So the Wolves, the pack, turn on the Nexus and finish this series off.
And what a great 3-game set for the side of No Fear Wolves. In game number 1, they kind of were rusty. They kind of were feeling it out. But you could see that the synergy was there, that the inherent kind of team coordination that we saw in last season and now they brought in Jushbox is still there. And after that, they just hit pedal to the metal, and you could see outplay after outplay from each separate laner, from the bot lane themselves, and Peekaboo on this jungle role, swapping to this role. He was effective at every single game. In game number 1, you were like scratching your head about the Volibear pick. In game number 2, you kind of understood why Volibear is such a prominent jungler in the meta. Great play from these guys, and I want to see them continue. And again, Degenerates Reformed, this is week number 1. You have 9 more, I believe, how many weeks? Actually, I don't know exactly. 9 more weeks to kind of put it together. And so don't get discouraged by this, because there are signs of life. I think Fox Zero played super well. I think the bot lane itself played super well. But in terms of drafting, in terms of team coordination, they're just not there yet. But that doesn't mean that you won't get there. It is week number 1. You have a ton of time to put it all together. And so I'm excited to see both of these teams progress. But you can see that No Fear Wolves this season is on another step. They've made the jump from playoff team, maybe a playoff team, to these guys are legit. These guys are top 4, because you can see the coordination. You can't buy coordination. You can have the best players in the world, but you can't buy the kind of coordination it takes to 4-man dive over and over again in the bot lane, because that's where they really showed, like, these guys are kind of legit.
Exactly. No Fear Wolves taking this series decisively. No game going past the 30-minute mark. They wanted to play aggressively with this season, with Jushbox coming into the support role. And these lane assignments, Skiz looking really good in the top lane, Peekaboo back in the jungle, looking fantastic, and Cute Right, you did a really solid job, I thought, in the mid lane. So for a post-series breakdown, we're going to be passing it back over to the analyst desk. Stick around. The post-game interview will be coming up in just a bit afterwards.